So, as I said, the session today is about the APS procedure, and to guide us through that, we have with us Dr. Thomas Kaiser, who is the director of the Academic Evaluation Center, or the APS. It's a German abbreviation for the Akademische Prüfstelle, which translates into Academic Evaluation Center, and he will be guiding you through the presentation that he has prepared. And after that, we will have the possibility to address some questions. I request all the participants to please save your questions for later. Go and listen to the presentation first, and after it's through, at that point of time, I would request you to type your questions so that we can address them one by one. Please do remember, when you are writing your questions, then use the question and answer section, not the chat section. It becomes difficult to segregate questions in the chat. So later on, when you are about to do it, please use the question and answer section for typing your questions and send them to all, please. That makes it a little easier. So with that being said, I would now like to hand over the word to Thomas. And I also see on the screen that we're also joined by another colleague, Rajni. Welcome to the session as well. So now it's over to the team at APS.
Thank you, Harper, for the kind introduction. Today's session is going to be, well, just basically a walkthrough on how to get your APS certificate as quickly as possible, because we're seeing on social media that there's a lot of concern about this. And I've reserved the first maybe 20-25 minutes to guide you through the entire process, and then the remainder of the time will be for Q&A, questions, and hopefully answers from my side as well. Aprof has already taken a few things away. Academic Evaluation Center. Some people have been asking where the abbreviation APS actually comes from. It's from the German term Akademische Prüfstelle. We are a joint institution by the German Academic Exchange Service, DAAD, and the Federal Foreign Office, and we were first established in 2001 in China and are gradually spreading around the globe. Our tasks are to first and foremost check the formal requirements for admission to a German university using the assessment criteria that are issued by the KMK. So KMK means Kultusministerkonferenz. It's a standing conference of cultural ministries of Germany who are in charge of anything related to education. And they have come up with the rules for our procedures, basically. On a second item, we are basically doing, or actually not basically, the majority of our work will be verifying the authenticity of the documents that student applicants are handing in at the Academic Evaluation Center. Once we have verified the authenticity of these documents, the students will then be issued certificates, 5 per person, which are the main requirement for enrollment to a German university, and also very crucial for the visa process, as some of you probably have already noticed. By doing so, we also facilitate visa procedures for students and scientists, and hopefully by doing all these pre-checks, we are able to reduce the workload at the visa counters, and thus also reducing the time that students are waiting for their visas to be issued. One of our other major tasks is we're registering exchange and cooperation partnerships between German and Indian universities as well. So we are not only offering service for students, but also for universities in both countries. So how does this process work? You basically register first on our website, pay the fee, and then submit your documents via courier or here in person at our office in Delhi. And then we will start verifying your documents. After the verification is done, you will be issued 5 APS certificates, as already mentioned before, which you can use to apply for your desired German university. And once you have that letter of admission in your hands, you can take that together with the APS certificate and apply for your student visa at VFS. Let's dive a little bit into the criteria for entry into German universities, and I will mainly focus on master's students in this case, or students who are going for a master's degree in Germany and have already graduated with a bachelor's in India. As I mentioned earlier, these criteria are based on the recommendations of the Standing Cultural Committee in Germany, and They have these regulations set up for every country on the planet, India being one of them. So let's see what you have to fulfill in order to study in a master's coming from India. Basically, there are two tracks. They both have in common, the upper one and the lower one, that you need 10+2. So it's your senior secondary is finished. And then you have 3 years of a bachelor's in India. Here we have to differentiate between honors course and subject-specific courses, as opposed to a general bachelor's. General bachelor's, a 3-year general bachelor in India will only give you access to a bachelor's in Germany. Usually you will start in your last year of the German bachelor then. If you have 3 years done in India and it was an honors course or a subject-specific course, meaning that you have some orientation in your university studies, and that you will not be awarded a general bachelor's in the end, then the university at their own discretion may take you into a master's program even though you've only completed 3 years in India. The students who have studied 4 years or above, architects, medicine, they have direct access to a master's after finishing their bachelor's in India. So these are the two tracks how you can enter German universities on a master's level coming from an Indian higher education level. Some of you might have heard about the spooky little thing called TESTAS. It's it's a test that's somewhat new here in India, and it is a central standardized aptitude test for foreign students that was developed in Germany. The idea is to get an individual ranking compared to the other applicants who have taken the test with you in the same intake. So you will not have a score level basically saying you need to fulfill 110 points to be good. It depends a lot on how good everyone was in the test that you have taken specifically. The test is split up in 2 parts. There's a core test and an advanced subject-related test. As you can see here, the core test takes about 110 minutes, and then following onto that, after a short break, there's another 150 minutes testing either of these 4 modules. So you have humanities, cultural studies, and social sciences. You have a module for engineering, a module for mathematics, computer science and natural science module, and one for economics. When you sign up for the testers through their website, you can actually choose which model you are going to take during the test. And this will also help you getting entrance to the universities later, because they can evaluate from that test your ability to study in these courses. Who has to take the testers? Good news for master students, or rather for bachelor graduates. It's exempt for anyone who has already finished a bachelor's degree in India. Anyone who is going to Germany after their 12th grade and who has already begun a bachelor's program here in India will have to do both, a document verification at the Academic Evaluation Center, and they will have to take the TESTAS test. 12th graders who successfully completed both parts of the JEE exam, main and advanced, are also exempt from the TESTAS exam. So basically, it's only the 12th graders and students who have started a bachelor's program in India but haven't finished it yet, who will be taking the TESTAS together with the APS verification. How do I apply for an APS certificate? We have seen an influx, a big wave of emails. We get about 600 to 700 emails per day about people asking about the process, how we can get registered, how to get it done, and how to make it as smooth as possible. So I figured I'll take the opportunity and guide you how you should work with our website to make the process as smooth as possible. First of all, you should start on our website, aps-india.de, and go to the requirements section. There's an eligibility quiz. Once you're there, there are several questions about your highest academic qualification. You just answer these questions as they apply to you. And then in the end, you will be given an answer what type of university degree you are allowed to seek in Germany. It's this green line underneath. Once you have passed the quiz and you find yourself eligible to study in Germany, you should definitely check out the checklist area. When you're there, in this case, again, I'm gearing towards bachelor graduates from India. You should go to the graduate section and download our leaflet. The leaflet is very detailed. It's 3 pages, contains all the information you need, including where to send your documents, what bank transfers to use, and also this handy little checklist about the documents that you should hand in together with your application. Now that you have the information all set and you're ready to apply, you just hit the apply button, and then you'll be guided through 7 stages of questions, basically, starting with creating an account on our website, and then answering the personal details, the educational background, some questions regarding the testas, which again for master students is not applicable, and the language details as well as the payment details, and then you submit this. Once you have submitted the information, it will take a while for your account to get activated by us. We're doing this manually right now because we're getting so many applications that the system would crash otherwise. So if you don't see your account activated within like the next 10 minutes after your registration, please bear with us. As long as you will get an email about your registration, you are fine. We will definitely know that the account exists and we will take care of you. It's just going to take a little longer than expected because that will help us streamline the entire process for everyone and help us to keep or maintain the website in good health. Once you're done, you will get one of these application forms. Those you can download from your profile. You will have a login detail and a password that you can use to go to the login section of our website. And once you're logged in, you can download the application form from there. It has some basic information, basically everything you answered on the during the registration process. And once you have printed this out, attached a photograph and signed it by yourself, of course, you can move on to the next stage, which is getting the authorization letter. This is basically a letter telling us that we are authorized to ask your university about details that are related to your person. This you can find also in the requirements section. Leaflets, again, it will be the first download button. Together with the application form, you almost have all of your documents ready. This is the consent form, as I just mentioned. You just fill it out, sign it as well, and include it to the application. And then you send it to us. The address is on our website. On the contact form, we will come to that later. And then you should just wait. The time for the applications to get done varies a lot. And as you saw earlier on the submission form, having a submission number doesn't mean you will be faster or slower than someone else, because the verification depends a lot on how fast we can get information from your specific universities here in India. It could very well be that someone with a submission number 2 will end up waiting longer than someone with a submission number 100 if the university of applicant number 2 doesn't provide any information to us. Then once the process is finished, you will be issued the APS certificate. This is what a certificate looks like, basically. Has a lot of information about your study background, and it basically tells the German university in the visa section that that we verified your documents for authenticity and that everything checks out just fine. And then you can take this certificate and move on to your application for the visa process. You can go to VFS and apply for an appointment there. And then the process at the embassy will be a lot shorter than it used to be. What happens if you have any questions? The best way to reach us is going through the contact section of our website. It's under home, and there's this little contact us link. It will guide you through this page right here. We have an area that has some information pre-filled with subject lines that are also pre-filled. Our location is on there, and the timing for the document drop-offs if you want to come in person. We do suggest to mail it in if you don't have any specific questions, because lines can be very long here. We had about 150 people waiting in line the other day. So in case the process is clear to you, you don't have any specific questions of any sort, please mail it in. It will help us a lot. We also maintain a news site that is the second link on the top, which gets updated roughly every second or third day. And what we do there is we gather all of the questions that we see amassing in terms of emails coming in, because we cannot reply every single person. There's too many people asking the same questions, so we group these together and we put the answers up on our website in the news section. If you're running into any glitches or difficulties, please make sure to stop by there first and see if the issue wasn't addressed. Again, we're getting more than 500 emails every day, and it's really hard to keep up. Yeah, so that was everything from my side. I would suggest this took about 20 minutes as I was planning. The rest of the time, I'm open for any discussion or any Q&A that you might have.
Right. Thank you, Thomas. I think I'll now just start taking the questions as they were posed here inside this window. And then there was a first question. I'm just reading it as it is. Naman is asking, in APS eligibility test, can you elaborate the meaning of subject-specific course?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is basically for the three-year bachelor's, the three-year bachelor graduates who are going for a master's degree. If your bachelor's program is a general bachelor's, then you will not have direct access to a master's, but only to the last year of the bachelor's in Germany. If your course, however, is a subject-specific course, subject-specific meaning that you have a clear a given subject, not like a very broad general bachelor's type of study record to show, then you count as subject specific. Also, if your bachelor's was a honors or honorary bachelor or honors bachelor's, then that also counts as subject specific, giving you access to a master's program in Germany at the discretion of the university.
Great, thanks, Thomas. Moving on to the next question by Tosif. He says, I have 6 semester transcript graduating in June 23. Can I get APS for each transcript? So maybe you can clarify on how the certificate works. Do they have to give multiple transcripts? Do they get multiple APS, or how does it work? Is unclear.
Well, the APS certificate is needed for the visa process primarily. So if you find a university who will take you in on basis of the 6th semester that you have provided us with, then you're fine. If, however, you are going to a certain university, like your dream university, and they require you to get your bachelor's degree verified as well, then I would either suggest you wait until you have your bachelor's degree done, or hand in your verification again for the bachelor's degree, which of course will not cost 18,000.
Okay, maybe I'll come to the next question. It's a very specific one here now, where student is going for an Erasmus course, has already begun the first semester in France. The second semester is in Germany, in Kiel, and he's asking for the German visa from the Paris embassy. Do I need an APS certificate or not?
Right now, the APS certificate, if you're already abroad, I doubt that they will ask for it because the APS certificate at the moment is very India specific if you're applying from inside India. And also, if you're on a scholarship of any sort, you're exempt from the APS process anyways, as long as the scholarship is paid for by European funds and exceeds the BAföG, which is the amount that you need to block every month of your blocked account.
Right. Ria wishes to know what's the ideal time to start the APS process if, for example, she's aiming at the winter intake for 2023.
Yeah, it again depends on a few factors. First of all, APS certificates are valid indefinitely. So if you do it now, it will still be valid next year, because I mean, either your documents are authentic or they're not. that won't change. But again, I mean, if you are just in the process of graduating, maybe are in your sixth semester, or maybe in your eighth semester, and you can see that the university that you want to apply for is asking specifically for an APS certificate, then I would suggest you wait until you've finished your bachelor's.
Right. I think that's a clear answer. Thank you for that. Uday has a remark, I think more than a question. He's saying there's just one APS center in all of India. So is that not going to make things very difficult and take even more time?
I'm just reading the question myself because there's some more attached to that.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely not going to take more time, because the process that we're doing right now, and we have gained a lot of expertise over the last couple of months doing so. We haven't just started on October 1st. We have already supported the embassy a while now, and basically what used to be done at the embassy is now done through us. So instead of having the embassy verify your documents will already be verified by the time they reach the embassy. And this will actually cut down time. It will be faster. And who knows? I mean, we just started out. I know we just have one center, but I know there are several locations in India that would be prone to have another APS center as well. But let's take one step at a time. I'm sure it will get faster though.
Okay, great. That's good news. Let's do hope that it gets faster. Next question is by Prajakta, who's asking what's the difference between 12th mark sheet and 12th certificate?
One is the grade statement, and the other one is basically your graduation certificate.
I think the question is rather valid because I also recently got to know that of late, at least the CBSE has started combining the two. So you don't get two separate certificates, you get one which acts as the mark statement as well as the class 12 certificate. It's a two-in-one thing. I think that might be happening to some students.
Yeah.
Right. I'm moving on to the next question. I'm in the final year and intend to join a master's in October 23. Do I still have to take test us? I think you answered that
this
earlier.
has been answered. Anyone going or having graduated with a bachelor's doesn't need to take the test exam.
Right. Another question you just now answered, but was posed a while back, was from Venus asking if the validity period of the APS certificate. So that's good to know that it is valid forever and does not have a time stamp. Is APS necessary if I'm already admitted to a university but have deferred a semester that starts in the next summer of 23?
There's actually a lot of students who have started or begun with online courses. They're already enrolled in a German university, and but have, for specific reasons, not have left India yet. And the issue is that the APS certificate is required for the visa application process. So you can basically do your entire studies from India online if you'd want to, but the moment you apply for a long-term student visa, you will require an APS certificate.
Moving on, Tosif is asking, do Indian universities that have campuses in UAE or somewhere else also need this certification?
Yes, as long as the school is registered here in India as well in some sort, listed on the UGC website, or gives out an Indian degree, they will also have to go through APS verification.
Another well-meaning question from Siddesh is, what can we do as students? What can we do to make universities give the necessary information to the APS faster? So what can your Indian institution do, or what can a student do to make the Indian university respond quicker?
This is actually, I love this question. This is a really good question. Because sometimes we are facing a few problems with universities not willing to cooperate with us. So if you can underline the need that, first of all, we're not some agency trying to make money off of this. We're just trying to facilitate the process for you to go to Germany faster. And also that if you can mention contacts on your application, we have a special section for that, like one of your professors maybe, or if you have someone at the administration office who is willing to cooperate with us, if you can give us these details, that will help us a lot to speed up the process.
Then we have Vedant, who asks about what's the total fees for the APS certificate or process?
And that's 18,000 right now.
Next question is from Iqbal. He says, how is the APS different from Uni-Assist?
That's also a very good question. First of all, Uni-Assist, of course, they will also check the authenticity to some degree. But Uni-Assist works together with specific universities. They have university partners. And what Uni-Assist does during their process is they will check if you meet the requirements, for instance, to study nuclear engineering at TU München, a very specific subject at a very specific school with very specific requirements. We, on the other hand, we just do the overall check. We make sure that you're able to go to Germany at all, allowed to go to Germany at all. And once you're there, depending on where you want to study, Uni-Assist might be a partner with that university, and they will basically make sure that you will meet the criteria that the university has set for that specific subject that you are applying for.
Okay, great. This actually answers the question already that Vijaya had asked related to that. She said, do we still have to upload documents on Uni-Assist for VPD? So the question answer is, yeah, they have to go through that process separately. It's independent of the APS.
Again, it depends. To my knowledge, Uni-Assist is partner of about 150 universities in Germany. There are about 430, 450 universities. So it really depends a lot on whether your university or the university you wish to attend requires you to go through the Uni-Assist verification as well.
Next question is from Pragya, who wishes to know what will be the time taken to verify the documents. Some of us are for the winter semester intake of 2022, and our studies have already begun.
Yeah. Again, that depends a lot on how willing your university is to cooperate with us. Right now, please don't be alarmed. You need to understand we are getting so many applications in these first couple of days. Everyone is trying to be the first one. So if you don't hear from us, that doesn't mean we didn't get your application. We're just right now trying to order everything, set it out, and then from there, usually we estimate somewhere between 2 to 4 weeks. In some cases, it's even faster. And you will be notified through your portal if your verification is done. And if you don't hear from us after 4 weeks, by all means, write us. We will definitely make sure that you get there on time. We do our best, but we cannot promise you anything, of course.
Great. Next question, and I think we still have a lot of questions. We're not even halfway through, so let's try and give crisp answers. To Uday, starting, he says there is some problem with the APS website when we fill some data. We're not allowed to edit some of the details because the system might pick the wrong date or year. They can see that something's wrong, but they can't edit it. So
yes, that is absolutely correct, and you cannot edit it for a reason right now, because first of all, we have your hard copy of your documents, so we know when you graduated. And second, we had a little glitch at the beginning. There were just too many applications coming in, and it resulted into some of the dates being overwritten. And right now we don't, until we find out what exactly the issue is, we don't want to open it up for people to edit it in order to not make the chaos more chaotic.
Okay. So the next question is from Vaibhav, again a technical one. He says, can we book an appointment? I'm assuming he means the appointment with the VFS. Can we book an appointment once we have registered for APS, or can we only apply for the appointment after we receive the APS certificate?
You can only apply at VFS once you have your APS certificate. Because for the too many acronyms. For the VFS registration, you will be asked for your APS profile number, and that will only be generated once we have issued the certificate.
Okay. I don't quite understand the next question. Vishnu, maybe you might like to elaborate, but I'll read it out. Is there a way to update my APS?
I think that goes towards editing.
Editing. Okay, then you have answered that. Is it compulsory to do a bachelor's with honors if you wish to pursue a master's, is what Isha wishes to know.
Well, it helps if you only have a 3 years bachelor's. The honors will definitely get you access to universities, but it's at their discretion if they'll take you in for a master's program. And anything that's over 4 years and an honors program will get you access, will get you direct access.
Okay. Next question, Purnima wishes to know, is two parts. First is, why do we need 5 certificates? And the second part of the question is the fees. Are these exclusive of the visa fees? So do the visa fees have to be paid separately?
Well, you don't really need 5 certificates. In an ideal world, you'll only need 2, one for the visa process and one for the application to that one university you might apply to. But from our experience, people don't apply to just one university, but to several universities. That's why you'll get 5.
Can I ask, sorry, first complete,
yeah,
please.
Sure, go ahead.
Can I get additional certificates if I want?
Yes, you can, no problem at all. And the visa fee is excluded. It's not included.
Okay, so the candidates will have to bear the visa fee separately.
Yes, that's correct.
Lenny wishes to know in what form the test ask will be, interview or Q&A test. How is that test ask conducted?
The test ask is basically a major exam like IELTS or TOEFL. It will be conducted in a big room. And there are 2 standards, 2 formats right now that are being offered. One is digitally on a computer. The other one is old school pen and paper. And it is split, again, as I mentioned earlier, into 2 parts. The first part being a core part. These will be basically assessing your mental ability and basic tests, your reasoning skills. And then the second part will be geared towards a specific subject area, as I've pointed out.
All right. Next question quickly, Abhishek is asking, is online payment available for the APS process?
Well, you can pay online, but not through our website yet. We're working on that. We are confident to have it up in the next couple of weeks.
Another technical question by Julie is, considering I'm a 3rd year student, completed 6 semesters and will be graduating by May of next year, and I want to apply for the winter semester of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Application for many universities will already begin in January.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to verify in December itself, which is like in the next couple of months, how is that possible, or is it not possible for her? Because I understand it's a valid question. The certificate per se from the university might be issued just in June or July, which is a few months before the actual admission or the session will begin at the German university. So that would be too late really for many students to be handing in. So what is the workaround?
Again, once you have the APS certificate, you can use that, even though you might have not graduated already, to use that to apply to universities and see how they feel about you not having finished yet. If you want to go next year for the winter semester 2023, by all means, start applying now if you feel that you can't wait for the summer time to get it done. If this collides with your plans, you can get it done now. But again, I want to stress or emphasize on the fact that there are universities who might ask to have your degree verified before they will issue a letter of acceptance.
Okay. Thomas, another question. Maybe if you can just share the website again, if you have it on any slide, then if you could show that slide. Otherwise,
well, it's APS minus India.de. I don't think I've put it
you
on there.
can otherwise maybe
Good to
just,
know for the next time. Yeah.
yeah, otherwise just type it into the chat, maybe. That would be great. And another question that we now had was, Vandita wishes to know, can I apply for certification while in Germany?
Yes, of course, no problem.
All right.
But yeah, you can do that. You just mail it to us.
Next question. Now I'm going to go a little quicker. I think some of the questions might repeat now. Even though university doesn't mention having APS certificate, is it compulsory for visa procedure is what Sahil wishes to know.
Yeah, yes, it is, absolutely.
Do students that come under some university study cooperation also need the APS certificate? Sangeeta is asking.
Yes, but there will be a special process for them. They will get nominated through their specific German counterpart universities, and we will be issued a list by the university in Germany, including details about how the students were selected, and then they also go through the APS process, but as a group instead of individually.
Okay, there are a lot of such questions, so I'm not going to go into each and every one of them. Again, we have another one here saying that the course demands only an IELTS test or an English language proficiency. So is that sufficient? So I agree. I would say, Thomas, to all the candidates, irrespective of what the university might mention on its website, they will need a visa before they can go. And for the visa, the APS certificate is a requirement. So
Exactly.
this is a clear-cut answer to all, and I'll now be skipping henceforth questions that go in that direction. There are some more questions, very technical. I mean, Priyanshi wishes to know, if she sends things by courier, if the courier fails, how will I come to know? I think it's very hard for any one of us to really give an answer to that kind of a question.
But let me get back to that question, because actually we're getting a lot of emails
Mhm.
from students who are worried about whether their courier has reached us or not.
Yeah.
We do keep lists of things coming in, but again, with the amount of documents we are receiving every day, it will take a few days for us to get that list updated. So it's not like you're sending something on the 4th, it arrives on the 5th, we can tell you on the 6th that your documents have arrived. There's just too much right now. Give us a week at least, and then we can tell you if your documents made it safely to the Academic Evaluation Center.
Maybe another question Ronak is asking, can you please re-explain the test us part specifically? Is it an online test or a paper-based test?
It's both. There are two different, well, they're different test dates, basically. There is one in November, and the next one, from what I heard, there will be another one towards the middle of December, which is pen and paper. The one in November is in a digital format. But irrespective of whether it's digital or pen and paper, it basically follows the setup you see on the slide. There's a core test and a subject-specific test. And as you can see, it's a pretty lengthy test. It takes a while to finish that. But it's usually held at a center, either Goethe or British Council. These are test center partners, and then you just go there and take the test.
Great, wonderful. Next question. I think you mentioned earlier about your system having some glitch, might be related to that. Jason is saying that he has made a payment and that it has been delivered to the APS. He's also received the mail stating that the AP has received it, but this online portal doesn't reflect. It says payment not received.
Yes, this is actually a glitch why we are not offering online payment right now through our website, but going the old traditional way. This has been updated in the news section on the 4th of October. If you go to that news section, as I mentioned earlier, this is where we reply to these types of questions, because we are naturally getting a lot of emails about this, and it's all explained in detail how you can go about this and what the problem is.
Ria wishes to know, do we need an APS certificate if we have a scholarship?
Depends on if the scholarship is funded by the EU or German money.
Her case is
And,
DAAD, if it's a DAAD scholarship.
well, yeah, that is fine.
So someone with a DAAD scholarship would not have to go through the APS procedure. Is
No,
that?
no. As long as the scholarship meets the BAföG, yes, no problem.
All right, fine. Then we had covered these questions. There are some subject-specific questions. Please allow me to skip a few of those because time is running and I see that we still have more coming in. So I'm trying to now find a question that is unrelated to what we've discussed.
Mm-hmm.
I will be applying for the TUMI dual degree from the Singapore NTU. Will the APS apply for the dual degree program too? So it's TUM along with the NTU Singapore giving a dual degree program. So I believe the campus is in Singapore, not in Germany. So in such a case, is that still going to be a requirement?
That is actually a question that TU München Asia just sent me 2 days ago. We're still assessing that. They haven't figured it out for themselves yet. So we'll see what they come up with. But the question has been raised. Yeah.
All right, good to know. Again, the DAAD scholarship, you don't need the APS, was just answered. It's a repetition here. Someone says they've registered on the portal and sent all the documents, but they forgot to add the picture.
No problem.
I
Don't
thought
worry.
it was only required. Okay, that shouldn't be too much of an issue. And if there is anything that's missing, I'm sure that the APS people are not bad people. I know many of them personally. I'm sure they'll write to you and maybe request you to hand in something at the most. So no need to worry.
We are exactly. Actually, you have to understand that with the amount of files coming in, we're happy when we get them done as soon as possible. So it is in our own interest to process these files as quickly as possible. And if there's anything missing from your documents, we will get in touch with you 100%.
So now a lot of questions again regarding the time required, the procedure, about how long it will take. Is APS required for the university or just the visa process? That's another question Ashwin is asking.
That depends, actually. Well, right now it's only for the visa process, but there are a lot of universities who are starting to ask for the APS certificate at the time of admission.
Can I also request you once again, Thomas, someone's asking if you could share the link in the chat of the APS website.
I already have.
Okay, you have already. Great. Thank you so much. I didn't check that site. So Devraj, then you have your answer. Please check the chat and it should be visible there. When APS procedure, how much will you reduce the average time for the German embassy? So with the APS procedure, how much time will it save for the embassy in the processing of visa? Saurabh is asking. It's a very tough question, I believe, to really answer specifically.
It is a very tough question, but you have to imagine that the embassy people assessing the authenticity of an Indian document, it's really hard for them because they lack the experience from from the standpoint of which university is there in India. Is it a legit university? Is it recognized by the government? These are all questions that we deal with on a daily basis. We do nothing but this. So for us, it will be a lot faster to assess these questions than for our colleagues at the visa section.
Okay. Vishnu is asking if he wants to update. He got his B2 level certification after submitting the application and the APS. So if he wants to update his APS application, what is the process to do that?
Yeah, actually, this brings up an important issue, namely language. There's a common misunderstanding that you need to have a certain language certificate to pass or get your APS verification done. This is not correct. We are not asking for any language certificates of any sort. The visa section, however, if you come with an admission letter that doesn't state that the university who's taking you in on the German side has checked your language abilities, they are allowed to ask for certain language certificates. These are printed on the leaflet for the student visa applications on the embassy website.
All right, moving on to the next question. Tarun is asking, is the APS connected to all German universities?
Yes. Yeah, as long as the university is recognized in Germany, then yeah, definitely.
And then Harshit is asking, can we apply for the APS after we get an admit from a university? Or technically it's...
Technically, of course, it's possible. Of course, the visa section is not going to issue a visa without it. So if you might get an admission letter, but if for whatever reason you fail your APS certification, being your documents fraudulent or anything of the sort, you won't be able to go even though you have an admission from the German university.
Then we have Darshan saying that I haven't done the process, so I'm not clear, but I think I understand what he means. My college is affiliated with Pune University. Do I need to give the email of my college or give the email of my university? Is there some place where they have to provide this detail in the application process?
There is actually a link that, or rather a contact that they give us. For us, we will always check with the college first and then go to the administration, because we found out that colleges verify documents somewhat easier than main administrations. But if we get stuck somewhere along in the process, we'll definitely try both. So we will go through Pune University and also write to your college.
All right. Just skipping up some of those questions. They're all about, many of them actually, about the time as to when exactly one should apply for the APS. Is it required just for the university or just for the visa process? Do you need it before or do you need it after the admit letter? These are some of the questions. But I think you answered them all, so we don't need to repeat it right now, because these questions were also posed 20 minutes ago. So in the meantime, you've already given answers to many of them. Another question is about PhD and postdoc researchers. Are they exempt from the APS verification process?
You should get in touch with your advisor who is guiding you through the thesis. If they demand it, then yes, it's required. If they don't, then you can just go ahead and apply for the visa process.
All right. You had already responded, Suyog, to your question about the Erasmus thing earlier on. Then we have coming physically to the embassy to submit the APS. So I think here also you don't submit your APS docket at the embassy. Some people have mentioned here, can I come physically to the embassy to submit? So the embassy location is different from the location of the APS office. In case you plan to come physically, but as said, try avoid coming physically unless there is some real desperate need. But if you are, then do make sure you come to the correct address. It is not in the same premises as the German embassy. It is elsewhere. Can you make a simplified video answering everything about APS? So actually that's what we're doing along with your support right now. We're recording this session and we'll put it up somewhere for other students to benefit from. Okay, someone's asking, you mentioned 5 certificates we'll be getting. So if someone's, if I take only 2 certificates, do I still need to pay 18,000? I guess, yes, that's that.
Sorry, we're not that streamlined yet where we can offer on a demand basis, but it will be 5 for everyone.
All right. So now Muhammad Rizwan is saying, I'm getting notification from APS certificate website that the APS test us requirement temporarily waived for summer semester 23. It means it is not needed for the summer semester 23. Can you just clarify this, please?
Yes. So basically, most universities will have their deadline for applications on January 15th. And since we only have 2 testers left this year, one in November, which is just around the corner, and the other one in December, a lot of people wouldn't be able to make it for the summer semester. So we decided to waive the testers for the summer semester, and anyone starting to apply for a student visa to Germany beginning January 1st will have to take the tests if they need to. Like again, in regard to the crowd today, everyone should be going for a master's degree. It wouldn't be needed.
Right. We're almost reached to the end of today's session. I'm just now checking any other questions. There are many, but a lot of them are quite repetitive. So I'm leaving, and some are very specific. So please do excuse me if I'm not able to pick them up. I guess those are things that are best discussed on a one-to-one with the APS by writing to them. What if the university does not cooperate? I assume the Indian university is meant by this. Suraya is
Yes.
saying, since you have experience with universities, not always, maybe not even responding. So what does that do to a student's application?
We will try, but we will of course not try indefinitely because of course it's also your time at hand. So we will, if we really cannot figure it out, we will issue not a certificate, but a verification report, which you can still use to apply for a visa. But on that verification report, it will state what we were able to verify and what we weren't able to verify. This is for the German university side and also for our colleagues at the visa section to assess if that is enough for them to issue a visa or to take you in for admission at the university in Germany.
Another technical question, the copies that you have to provide, do they need to be colored or black and white? Is there any specification?
They need to be colored. That helps us with seeing certain features that are relevant for our verification process.
All right. I think, Thomas, then a lot of questions of people about 3 years bachelor's as to the process and 3-year diploma. They're I think these are more admission related rather than APS related also questions. But would you like to, because you mentioned a little something in the beginning, maybe just clarify once again in what case, what the students should do or what they should keep in mind?
First of all, and be patient. I know you're really struggling with getting the deadlines ready and to submit the documents in perfect order. But in all of this, don't forget you are in a there's so many people applying right now. We will take care of all of them. But if you don't hear from us within like 15 minutes, we had people who were at the counter and then they were left through the door and we already had their email in if their documents were genuine. It's not going this fast, but we will work within that time frame that I mentioned, 2 to 4 weeks. The vast majority of documents will get done during that time. There are a few cases that might end up being complicated because the universities aren't cooperating. But this is also, again, a minority of students who will be facing this. And just go through the website. A lot of the questions that have been answered today are in our FAQs, and they're in the news section, which gets updated every second or third day. And if you feel we still haven't answered a specific question, please email us, but don't expect an answer in half an hour. It's not going to happen.
Maybe one last question here again, since a number of times the additional certificates came up, because as you rightly said, students apply to multiple universities. What is the charge if they wish to get additional certificates? Has that already been fixed? I know you're just a week old, but still.
We have thought about it. Right now, it's 500 rupees per paper, per additional certificate.
Additional. Okay. Yeah. And is it possible to get multiple APS, as in a student is asking, let's say they get the APS verification done when they haven't yet completed their bachelor's program, and after the completion of the bachelor's program, they want to do a second. Is that possible?
Absolutely possible. We call this Nachzertifizierung, which means basically certification after you have done your first certification. Okay. And this is mainly geared towards these applicants who use their 6th or 7th semester or maybe but basically who haven't graduated yet when they applied. And the university requires them to show proof that their bachelor's degree is authentic.
All right, that's wonderful. I'm just looking in the chat again, and somehow I'm not myself able to find the website of the APS. Could you just make sure again
Yeah,
that
sure.
you're sending it to everyone,
No,
and maybe you've sent it to someone individually?
no, it's just been
Okay, maybe it's
the
hidden now after all the other things that came in. That's also quite likely, right? But it was actually a rather simple website. I see it now, definitely. So that's the last entry in the chat window. It's aps-india.de is the website that you go to for any other questions that you may still have. But for today and for now, I think we'll have to close this session. It's been 1 hour that we've been discussing, and I think even another full hour might not be enough to address all the questions that the students have. But we will keep doing these sessions in the days ahead as well. But for today, I'd like to thank Thomas for being here. I think it was
Thank you
really
for having me.
interesting and very new. A lot of the things I also learned here today was a great exchange. So thank you. And also to all the participants for joining us. Wishing you all the best for your endeavors to get admission in Germany. All the best and have a great day ahead. Bye bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.